Why do queer people exist? What unique and valuable gifts do we bring to our families and to society? Find out why it's great to be gay this week on the Blue Ball Report. Welcome to the Blue Ball Report. I'm your host, Digger. I'm a queer daddy dude and sex and relationship coach. You know, some people brandish queers as an anomaly, an error against nature, as if we're broken and need fixing to the straight version of us. And if you don't already know, you're about to find out why that is total bullshit. But why is this belief so prevalent? Well, because the power structures that teach this bullshit want everyone to stop, drop, and reproduce bountifully. Make as many babies, as many children, as many soldiers, as many workers as we can, which is why they're also against birth control and abortion. Why? Because the mental virus of religion thrives when its hosts reproduce prolifically. But I won't waste your time arguing against a magical fable written by ancient men to control people. That would be about as senseless and useless as arguing against the plot of Sex and the City, so I won't. But maybe you're like me and curious. Why do queer people exist? We know that LGBT people, statistically, they produce far less offspring than straight people. So why would evolution steer towards straight couples producing queer offspring to such a large degree? Wouldn't we have been weeded out naturally a long time ago? Just died off, out-competed by the baby-making heterosexuals? Why do straight people continue to produce queer babies? There must be a good reason, or we would have ceased to exist at these levels a long time ago. Well, there are some very good explanations. And there are many unique benefits us queers bring to society. I've found it's great to be gay. If you like laughing and learning to become socially and erotically empowered for cultivating transcendent love in your life, then hit the subscribe button for weekly content. The first explanation for this apparent contradiction is from the study of evolution. You know, we often think of evolution as survival of the fittest individuals, that the fittest individuals compete and survive compared to less fit individuals. The fittest individuals are naturally selected to reproduce the next generation. And if we think of evolution at this level, then the prevalence of queer individuals is harder to make sense of. But there's a newer theory of evolution advanced by Richard Dawkins in The Selfish Gene that reframes evolution as survival of the fittest genes, not the fittest individuals. If we look at evolution from this angle, it makes sense that we behave to optimize the chances that our genes will survive within the next generation. From this angle, some previously perplexing human behavior starts to make some sense. For example, relationships generally start with a passionate sexual flame that burns brightly and intoxicates us into love for a partner. But research shows that it almost always fades across time and cultures. No matter how hot it was at the beginning, the sexual interest and attraction naturally wanes until the time it takes to birth and raise viable offspring, which is about 4 years. And by this time, most of us are sexually bored with our partner and start to have eyes for others. These are generalizations that are usually, but not always, true for every couple or individual. But why? If you want to retire, would you invest all of your retirement money into just one company? Most people would see that's a bad idea. That's putting all of your eggs into one basket, and it's dangerous because that company may fail and leave you with nothing. Instead, the common recommendation is to diversify your investments into many companies. This way, if one company fails, well, you also own a bunch of other different companies. This is diversifying your investment. Similarly, our selfish genes seek to diversify their investment with both multiple offspring and with different partners because it increases their chances of survival. Your genes are only concerned with your happiness inasmuch that serves their drive to survive. They aren't concerned with your personal happiness or desire to stay passionate with one partner forever after. They have their own motivations. So they'll make you do and crave whatever benefits their chances to make it to the next generation, even if it contradicts your desires and happiness. Many of us will own several cars throughout our lifetime. When one gets old, we'll move on to and buy a next one, and so on. Similarly, the genes do that, but instead of doing it with cars, they're doing it with individuals. So your relationship to the car is like the genes' relationship to you. Genes are building and using us individual humans as expendable vehicles, like little Earth rovers, through which they reproduce to build new rovers, babies, to live forever. Before one gets old and breaks down as we age, they're building and moving into brand new human baby Earth rovers. And when they move into those new models, they're leaving behind all of our emotional baggage, our dents, our wounds, both physical and mental, and move into a brand new fresh model, a sweet-cheeked, googly-eyed human baby. But not just one baby, that would be pulling all of its eggs into one basket. Genes drive us to multiply into many babies. Basically, we're but expendable vehicles driven by our genes for their benefit and their drive to live forever, while we get traded in for the newer model. From this perspective, cheating makes sense. When we look to every animal species we think of as monogamous, yes, they appear monogamous upon first sight. But when scientists keep looking, they find that cheating has a certain level of prevalence, much the same as it does in human relationships. For example, we often see ducks as being monogamous, but they've been observed to sneak off away from their mate, have sex with another partner, and then return and even hide evidence of their liaison. Why? Because it increases their selfish genes' chances of success in its goal to live forever, even at the price of your happy relationship. Our selfish genes motivate us to act in ways that increase the chance it will be passed on to the next generation. That can be through our own children, and it can also be through the children of others. Let me explain. Since our siblings share half of our genes, our selfish genes can see themselves in our nieces and nephews, and that motivates us to foster their success too. Research shows generally that the more similar another individual is to ourselves, for example, close family, then extended family, and then a same tribe, the more close they are, the more motivated we are to help them to survive, even if it goes against our own personal self-interest. Research also shows that queer people throughout time and culture are much less likely to have offspring of their own. Research also shows that gay men are far less likely to be the firstborn than the second, third, fourthborn. Why? Well, the theory goes that in the natural world, after the first heterosexual offspring is born and it produces children, selfish genes sometimes have a better chance of thriving if there's a gay uncle around to foster fabulosity in the nieces and nephews and be a spare parent to that offspring, rather than having that second sibling making its own children to compete for limited resources. Homosexuality may be a natural population break that benefits the selfish gene because overpopulation is a serious threat, especially in pre-agricultural tribal life where food was much more scarce. From the perspective of evolution based on survival of the fittest gene, not the fittest individual, the existence of queer people is natural and beneficial to family and tribal success. But there are more benefits to queer people in tribes that comes from cross-cultural studies. Take Harry Hay, who's a predominant figure of queer liberation that you should know about. In the 60s or 70s, Harry Hay set about looking for the roles that LGBT people can play in society. His question was, what value and benefits can we bring? Why do we exist? At that time, America was homophobic and closeted, so he reviewed anthropological data across time and cultures. And he found in many cultures, especially indigenous and or pagan cultures, they don't brandish their LGBT people. Instead, those people go on to play important roles in society. For example, as medicine people, healers, religious figures, leaders, second parents, and other important and unique roles. Queer people bring a valuable and unique perspective that often bridges the genders, promoting understanding across gender lines. As outsiders to the enculturated gender roles, queer people can also bring fresh and questioning perspectives. We can provoke a healthy reevaluation of how these gender roles are working or not working, as they need to shift to changing conditions. Queer people, or anyone without offspring, can bring important cross-generational perspectives because we're not distracted by the all-consuming task of raising children. And it's not that our perspective is more important, but it's different and also important. From these perspectives, and probably many more, we can see that queer people are important and valuable in a society, and we should be embraced for our gifts. My own personal coming out was incredibly difficult and painful because it involved disappointing people around me and breaking the heart of my best friend, my girlfriend at the time, who I loved very much. It was very hard and I resisted it, and it took a lot of courage and strength to step up and do it. But since then, I've discovered that my homosexuality is a gift. I would never return, and that being gay is great. I might have a different opinion about this if I didn't live in this time and place, but I'm very grateful to be gay. Before I share why I love being gay, if you like this video and want more people to see this sex-positive message, then fuck that like button. Get out your dick, your clit, your titties, finger bang that brother fucking like button if you have to. However you want to is fine, but please fucking like the fucking like button. would you? Fuck it right in the ass, the badge, the mouth. Hell, you can fuck it in the ear if that's your thing, but fuck the like button, please. Fucking liking my videos helps me spread sex positivity by telling the YouTube algorithm that my videos are worth automatically recommending to others. So pull down your pants, whip out your junk, and fuck the shit out of that fucking like button. Just don't ejaculate all over your device unless it's waterproof, okay? Thank you. So yeah, what do I love about being gay? Well, it gives me an ability to be an effective bridge between the genders. Many women feel safer to relate to and understand men through their relationships with gay men because we pose no motive nor threat of sexual attraction. We're also victims of the patriarchy, albeit in different ways. I've also been able to be the bridge to support my straight male friends to start conversations when he was too nervous to do so. As a sex and relationship coach, I look forward to helping women reclaim their full erotic power. Coming out was hard, but it required that I prioritize myself. This has liberated me from the burden of caring what everyone thinks. Don't get me wrong, there are loved ones in my life whom I care what they think because they've earned that privilege. But if they haven't earned it yet, sorry. And also, even on some of their opinions, I have to digress and not allow myself to be obligated to conform, which is good. Also, within gay male relationships, we don't fall into stereotypical roles since we really have none. There's no default assumption about who will work, cook, or clean. And those default assumptions can be corrosive to relationships. Coming out set me out of the mainstream, and it helped me to reevaluate all the bullshit stories I was told. Also, the patriarchy doesn't play out in my bedroom. As I study sex coaching and work with women about their sexuality, I feel inhibited and fearful of looking like a creepy straight dude we all see all over the place. I never feel that when I pursue men. Also, I understand men because I am a man, in a way that I could never fully truly understand a woman. Both the process of coming out and the nature of our sex has fostered our ability to talk about sex much more than straight people, who often fall into the stereotypical roles and the P and the V expectation. Us gay dudes talk about sex we want with 4 magical words that liberate us from many unspoken assumptions. What are you into? Also, did you know that gay male marriages are the most successful of all demographics? I mean, our relationships are unstable, but once we get married, we have the most stable marriages. I'm curious to hear from you. What are the plus sides to your queerness? Please share with us in the comments. So if you're a gay dude and anyone gives you any shit, you can say, hey, you're welcome for leaving more room, more food, and wealth for your ugly babies, since mine would obviously kick your baby's ass. And you can also say, you're welcome for stepping out of the competition for the ladies' attention, because they'd be all over this shit and you'd be jealous in the corner. And you can add, watch out, because gay dudes get the hottest chicks. So be nice because they care what I say. Besides, I make a great wingman to introduce you to the hottest chicks, since I have no skin in the game and can spark up a conversation with any hot chick. But I'm not introducing her to some homophobe, so be nice. You know, for me, being queer is only challenging because of all the homophobic culture around us. And if it weren't for our queer ancestors fighting and protesting in the streets for gay liberation, I may have never been able to come out at all. So I thank them, and I work to carry on their crusade in honor and gratitude, so that my selfish gay genes can live on in this world. And you can join the cause too, by sharing this episode with a friend. Better sex requires better boundaries. Next week, at the same fucking time, same fucking channel. Until then, enjoy this playlist of videos about sex and love, also linked in the video description. Until next week, farewell and fuck well.